All right, good morning, Zoomers from all cyber nations, wherever you may be located. And we are here for pretrial conferences. Hopefully everybody can hear and see me. And with all of the pandemic restrictions, I think you're all aware that this has become comparable to the takeoff and landing schedule at Atlanta Hartsfield or Chicago O'Hare in complexity. But we have Ms. Turi on the screen there, Senior Case Manager Extraordinaire, and she will hopefully assist me in landing your cases in the appropriate schedule time frame. So with that introduction, let me begin as customary by asking, is there any counsel that have conflicting court appearances that need to be called earlier? Anybody fall into that category? Go ahead and speak up at this time. All right, not hearing anyone, so we'll then take them in order as they appear. And let's begin with Don Quavius Adams, 18 CF 1468. Mr. Barger, Mr. Stewart, are counsel present at this time for both sides?
Morning, Your Honor. Laura Mason, covering for Mr. Stewart.
Barger or co-counsel at this time? We need to recall that matter until we have Mr. Barger. Next we go to Antonio Alfonso Gill, Mr. Nagel, Ms. Mason, 20 CF 589.
Good morning. Can you hear me, Judge?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just making sure we're little issues right at the moment. My apologies for that. I have talked to my client, Judge. There's a plea offer out there. My client was considering it. He indicated to me that he had just suffered a major medical issue, and I have not been able to get a hold of him since then. What I would like to do is to leave it set as the time being for now, make some further attempts to try and find out about the situation, if the medical situation is cleared, if there is a problem with his further attendance, and confirm if he's going to accept the state's offer. The offer is a probationary plea offer with restitution. So I believe there is a strong chance that we can get it worked out, but I'm not completely sure right at the moment about his medical status.
Do you wish to maintain it on the trial cycle?
I would like to for the moment, Judge, because I don't have enough information to tell the court that we definitely need to move it or not.
What about the witness from Finland?
I don't believe in the end, Judge, that witness was going to be of any importance. They were simply to be able to say that some of the camera video footage came from his store, and that's all. He was not an eyewitness to any part of the incident. He was simply there to say that he had a store and that they moved videos.
The estimated length of trial is still 3 to 4 days.
I would think that would be it. It depends on exactly how many of the witnesses the state ends up calling, but I think that's about the right time frame still.
Ms. Mason, any comments?
Your Honor, the state would agree as to the estimated length of the trial. However, I can also advise the court that we do have issues with witnesses for this trial cycle. We have witness issues from May 24th to May 28th, which I believe is the 1 week that Your Honor has for trial this cycle.
How did it come to be set on this cycle if these witness issues existed?
I believe it was because this case was set on this cycle approximately 5 or 6 months ago, Your Honor.
It was from September, you're right.
It was from September. It was a long time ago. We had set it out this far because of the issues with the witnesses. I could understand that the state would not know for sure about witness availability at the time.
Is the Finnish witness for the state or defense?
That's a state witness, Your Honor. That was one of the, as I said, it's one of the witnesses that the state, I believe, is going to use as would be needed for a foundation if we get to a point where there would be a challenge on the evidence.
Where is the state seeking to move the trial cycle?
Your Honor, we would be available if we could go to the June 29th cycle.
And how critical is the Finnish witness for the state?
That witness is not very critical, Your Honor.
And that's the only one that was out of country?
Yes. As far as I can tell, Judge, that was the only one.
And both defense and state would be available in the June trial cycle?
Yes, that's fine, Judge. With the one condition that if my client has more, his medical issues are still ongoing, that we will address it sooner rather than later with the court and the state, so that we'll be aware of it. That's my one concern.
By when will the medical issue be fully determined?
I am going to be I have to arrange for an interpreter to speak with him. He is out of custody, has been out of custody since the onset of this case. I am going to be contacting him probably next week at this point now because of the court calendar and with it getting pushed to the June docket. I should know in 2-3 weeks maximum if their medical issue is going to be a problem and where we stand in terms of the negotiation on the plea.
Would the parties prefer a later date to sort everything out?
I will defer with this to Ms. Mason on this situation. It's up to her. I don't know what the rest of her calendar is in terms of her cases on the next couple of dockets, so I'll defer to the state on this one.
Your Honor, the state doesn't have a preference. If there's a docket that the court would prefer to put it on that's not as busy as that particular cycle, we wouldn't have a problem with that. As of now, I don't see any witness issues going further out.
Terry, your first comments of the day. When do we have that drop off in the number of cases?
That would be in August. There's 25 cases set.
Yeah, I'm inclined to put this in August unless there's an objection.
No, Judge, that should completely eliminate any issues with any of the medical issues that I believe would be available. And by then, if we have a resolution, we can get him in sooner and have it off the docket before we got to those dates anyway.
Ms. Mason?
No objection, Your Honor.
So I was actually, if the Finnish witness had been critical, I was actually thinking of convening in Helsinki, a delightful.
No objection to that, Your Honor.
I was there in the summer, delightful location, highly recommended. But at this point, we'll just settle for August. Ms. Turi, all accompanying dates, please.
It would be a July 13th pretrial at 9 a.m., July 27th calendar call at 9 a.m., and August 3rd trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Next, we move to Mr. Barger, Don Quavius Adams, 18 CF 1468, Mr. Stewart, by Ms. Mason for the defense and for the state.
Yes, Your Honor. I'm sorry, my video is, I've had some technical difficulties today, so I'm just going to go stop my video. I am here. Can you hear me, Your Honor?
Yes, and I can see Mr. Adams also. Hello, Mr.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Hello.
Yes, Your Honor. We are still in contemplation of the offer that the state has provided us. I've already spoken with the state and they've agreed to continue this case. We would ask to put this out to either August or September. Give me a little bit more time to speak with Mr. Adams about his decisions and where we're going with this case.
State comments.
Your Honor, Mr. Stewart has indicated that he would prefer that this case be reset for the next case management and then pick a new trial date from there. Because the trial calendar that runs through August doesn't work for Mr. Stewart or for his witnesses.
And the defense is also requesting additional time, Mr. Barger?
Yes, Your Honor, we are.
All right, then based on the situation, the court will grant the request by both sides to give additional time. I'll set it for the next case management date as requested by the state. From there, we will pick an appropriate trial cycle from there if not resolved. Ms. Turi, what would be the next case management date?
The next case management is this week on May 6th. Otherwise, it's June 10th.
Yeah,
We would ask for the June 10th date, Your Honor.
that is approved.
June 10th at 9 a.m.
Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Next, we go to Alec Barletta, 20 CF 760. And Mr. Ward, Mr. Ashby, both are present. Currently set for May trial cycle.
Your Honor, if we could set this for an out of custody.
I
have no idea what you're doing.
Zoom?
I don't know what your code is or anything, dude. I have no idea.
Setting for what, Mr. Ward?
An out of custody plea.
All right, Ms. Turi, what are the dates?
May 10th at 10:30 or at 3:30.
I think that'll work. I haven't talked to my client. He is out of county in Lee County, but I think that should work.
Do you prefer a later date?
If the state is amenable, it just gives me more time to get them down.
There's
My
May,
apologies. What was that first time?
there's May 10th at 10:30 or at 3:30, and there's also May 18th at 2:30.
State would prefer the May 10th at 10:30, if available.
Mr. Ward, you're agreeable?
Yes, Your Honor.
Approved. Let me just ask, is there any other counsel that has joined us that has a conflicting court appearance that needs to be called earlier? Anyone in that category? All right. And I see we have Mr. Lee. I see him remotely. Who represents Mr. Lee?
Your Honor, Abdul Khalil on behalf of Lee Odoms.
All right. What's the last name again?
Odoms, Odoms.
All right. Let me see if we have opposing counsel for that. All right. That's with Ms. Wilson. Is someone covering? Ms. Wilson is connected, I believe.
Yes, Your Honor, I'm here.
All right. Mr. Lee is present. Hello.
Hey, how you doing, Your Honor?
Okay. 20 CF 956 currently set for main trial cycle. Comments?
Your Honor, if we can set this for a plea, preferably about a month out. He is traveling from out of county.
Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
So this will be an out of custody plea agreement. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Turi, about a month out?
June 8th at 2:30.
Any problem for Mr.
Your Honor, I believe, is there a possibility to set that at 3 o'clock? Because 2:30 is actually the ERC docket, so is 3. But at least that way the ERC cases could be done and then we could actually do pleas after they're complete.
That's fine.
Those are the
Go ahead.
dates that Melissa gave me, so.
Right, that it works better for the state if it's called at 3 rather than 2:30?
Yes, because that'll let everyone that's been in court all day on the ERC be able to finish their pleas and then we could finish them up afterwards. I know that's what we're doing this afternoon, we have some set at 3 o'clock.
Do you have any concerns, Officer Harrison? No. All right, so I think we're okay with that. We'll just add it at their state's request, we'll make it 3 o'clock. So, Ms. Turi, if you can repeat.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Khalil, did you have something to add?
No, Your Honor, sorry.
So, Ms. Turi, what would be the date and time as requested?
I guess June 8th at 3.
3 o'clock is what you requested, right, Ms. Wilson?
Yes, Your Honor, and I'll get up with Melissa and make sure if there's any problems, I'll get that reset.
All right, thank you, Mr. Lee. We'll see you then.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, I'm sorry. I do have one more thing. He has a misdemeanor, 20 MM 868. We've also have a resolution for that misdemeanor case as well. Because he's traveling out of county, does Your Honor have any issue with resolving that misdemeanor case as well?
Any state objection?
No, Your Honor, I just asked that he please get up with his the judge on that case, make sure that they're okay with it.
Yeah, now bring it on if the county court judge approves.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Anything on that, Clerk Amanda?
I don't think so, Your Honor.
Okay, so both cases for that day. Thank you.
Yes,
All
sir.
right. That concludes Mr. Lee. Back to George Belot. Mr. Barger, Ms. Wilson, 20 CF 803.
Yes, Your Honor, Justin Barger on behalf of George Belot. We had set it here because we were going to try and get some depositions accomplished. You're still in negotiations with the state, and we still have not been able to get those depositions accomplished. What we would ask to do is put this to the September date, and hopefully we can get it worked out between now and then.
Any possibility those depositions could be done prior to trial?
I do have some dates that we've been trying to get this week, Your Honor. However, I don't believe that we'll be able to get them accomplished before trial.
How many remain to be done?
2, and they're the alleged victim and another key witness.
Have they not been participatory?
The first time they were not participatory, Your Honor, and I was trying to reset them, and then we had some issues with our network here, and that kind of delayed things a little bit more.
And you don't want to take those right before they testify?
No, Your Honor, I don't, because I believe that after taking their depositions, there may be a motion that will be filed.
Okay, any objection from the state?
No, Your Honor, I am aware of what Mr. Barger has been trying to accomplish in the case, and I have no objection. Then hopefully we can actually get the case resolved.
So either August or September would be appropriate, Mr. Barger?
Yes, Your Honor, either or.
All right, but I think that August, Ms. Turi, was less populated.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
That would be July 13th pretrial at 9 a.m., July 27th calendar call at 9 a.m., and August 3rd trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Next is Daniel Cardona, Mr. Nagel, Mr. Mariska, 19 CF 2172. This case requires a mum interpreter and listed as 2 to 3 days on this trial cycle. How are those arrangements going?
Is Mr. Mariska on at this point, Judge? I know he was supposedly going to be trying a case with Ms. Cunningham.
Mason covering for Mr. Mariska.
Okay.
The mum interpreter issue, of course, is huge here. Do we know if that's been arranged?
I don't believe it has, Your Honor. I spoke with Mr. Mariska about all of his cases the end of last week, and there's part of one of the issues is with the changeover in terms of who's going to be handling the cases. We're not sure if the person who's going to be taking over is even going to be in a position in a couple of weeks to handle these matters.
Ready to proceed?
I have my one question, Judge, is I'm trying to go back and determine whether or not the alleged victim in this case showed up at her last deposition. I'm not able to get into my computer system to determine if it did or not. We can leave this on as a status, but it may need to be changed. I will get with Mr. Mariska as soon as he's done with court to find out about whether or not the interpreter's been made or if arrangements have been made for it and where we are in terms of the status. I'm not sure we can answer that question right at this moment, though, sir.
Your Honor, I can represent, just according to Mr. Mariska's notes, that the victim did appear for her deposition.
Okay, then that's fine.
However, it needed to be rescheduled because there was no interpreter present. I can also represent to the court that Mr. Mariska does have a witness issue until May 27th. So we would ask that this case, if it's going to remain on a trial cycle, that it go to the August trial cycle.
The interpreter, this is a less encountered foreign language, and I'm concerned that this can be arranged in the short time remaining. How many language interpreters are needed? Is there more than one language involved?
I believe there's going to be I believe we may need a Spanish interpreter as well, Your Honor. I think it's going to be both a mom and a Spanish. So I think we're going to need 2 different interpreters for 2 different individuals.
And right now, there's nothing confirmed on either.
No, that has not been confirmed. At least I'm not aware of any of Mr. Mariska. And when I talked to him, he did not indicate that he had already made the arrangements yet. My understanding was that he would have waited to see how things were going in court today.
Is the state going to be in a position to try this with a changeover in staff?
Your Honor, we will be able to, but just not for, obviously we couldn't do the May because of the witness issue. And also it appears that the victim's deposition, if the defense intends to take it, has not been completed. But if we were to go to the August or even the September trial cycle, I do believe the state would be in a position to be able to do so.
No unfair prejudice from the passage of time to either side?
No, Judge.
No, Your Honor.
All right, then the August cycle will be assigned.
That will be July 13th pretrial at 9 a.m., July 27th calendar call at 9 a.m., and August 3rd trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Ms. Curry, how many days available there?
That is 4.
All right.
That's more than enough, Judge. I would think 2 or 3 at the maximum, but 3 maximum.
Even with 2 foreign language interpreters?
I think so, Your Honor. I think we can still get it. It's going to be a very limited number of witnesses in this case. It's not something with large numbers of different witnesses testifying.
All right, it is set. Aronse Parisi, 20 CF 460, Mr. Ashby, Ms. Orange, also a Creole interpreter case set for this cycle.
Good morning, Your Honor. Ruth Orange on behalf of Irons Caris. Your Honor, Mr. Caris retained me about a month and a half ago, And I have been in contact with Mr. Ashby's legal assistant in trying to get the 17 depositions set. We have about 8 or 9 of them set. There is a witness availability issue, according to court liaison, with 2 of the officers, which we're still working on getting set. But as of now, we have depositions penciled in for, I believe it's June 17th. And I think we're looking at some July dates as well, given Mr. Ashby's availability and him being in trial, as well as my availability.
Length of trial anticipated?
I would say perhaps 2 or 3 days.
Mr. Ashby?
With the interpreter, Your Honor, I would say probably closer to 3 to 4.
Okay, any concerns about the passage of time on either side?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, does the state have witness availability in September or October? And
So, Your Honor,
Ms. Turi, how many cases in October versus September?
October, there's 10, and in September, there's 43.
So we're probably looking at October. Any objection?
no objection from the state, Your Honor.
Dates corresponding, Ms. Turi?
That would be September 21st, pretrial at 10:30, October 5th, calendar call at 9 a.m., and October 11th, trial cycle at 9 a.m.
I don't see that speedy trial has been waived. Is that an issue, Ms. Orange?
No, Your Honor.
It is waived at this time?
It is waived.
So noted.
And
Next,
Your Honor, my apologies, I missed the first date for the pre-trial conference.
September 21st at 10:30.
Thank you.
is Ralph Dudani, 20 CF 754, Mr. Khalil, Mr. Ashby.
Your Honor, I've lost contact with client. I've contacted the bondsman. He's also, they're not able to get in contact with him as well. I say we just keep it as scheduled and see if he appears on case management or calendar call.
Mr. Ashby, comments?
We can leave it as set and have it as a mandatory appearance for the defendant at the case management, not case management, the calendar call. And if he's not present, state would request a bench warrant.
So the defendant's been previously advised of that date, has he not, Mr. Khalil?
Yes, Your Honor.
So his appearance will be required at calendar call. If not, the state may bring a motion for bench warrant. Remains as set.
Which is calendar call on May 18th at 9 a.m.
Next is a series of cases of Calvin Dorset, 19 CF 215, as well as 2116, Mr. Nagel, Mr. Maresca.
Yes, the first one's a violation of probation following the second one, Your Honors.
Correct.
It's just one new case. We did get the witness of the last civilian witness deposed. He showed up for his last deposition, the one we were dealing with, the order to show cause. He did appear.
That's refreshing. We actually got a witness to show up.
He did, Judge, and he did it even though he wasn't actually served with the order to show cause notice. So, but he called me and said that he was going to be there. He actually did show up. The doctor involved in this case, though, missed her second deposition. We had tried to coordinate with her schedule, never got a response. And then right at the last second, she indicated she was working, wouldn't be able to attend. Be that as it may, what I think we can do is we can probably depose her the Monday before things get going and go from there at that point with the case as necessary.
Is the state, well, right now I don't see that there's a trial. Yes, there is. It's for this trial cycle.
Yes. That's
how does the state wish to proceed?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state is ready for trial for this cycle. However, we're not in agreement with bringing a witness in for a deposition on the first day of the trial cycle. If the defense would like to take the deposition, we would ask that this case get continued to another trial cycle so that can be done. The witnesses are subpoenaed.
That doesn't sound very productive, Ms. Mason. Sounds like the professional involved thinks she's too busy for the court system.
Well, Your Honor, the concern that the state has with that is that once the witness comes in on the day before trial, if we leave it set for that trial cycle, and it is in fact the case that goes for trial, the state's bringing in all of its witnesses for the trial. And if the defense wants a transcript of the deposition, the case is going to get continued anyway. So we're not in agreement with bringing in a witness for a deposition.
What assurance is that we can get this witness in anytime before trial? I mean, it doesn't sound like she's willing to participate.
Well, I mean, if she's under subpoena, if she's been properly served with a subpoena for the deposition, she would need to. I don't know that she
happened last time, Mr. Nagel.
Yes, Judge.
Mr. Mason.
Well, then there are remedies that the defense can make. I mean, you can certainly do a motion for an order to show cause if she doesn't show up for her deposition, but bringing her in on the day of the trial, the state is not in agreement with that, Your Honor.
Well, it would actually be, I think, the day before trial, the Monday, wouldn't it be? Or are you talking about right before she testified?
Oh, the Monday, Judge, was what I was referring to.
And our witnesses are under subpoena for trial for that day, but not under a subpoena for a deposition for that day.
So, Mr. Nagel, your final comment?
As I said, Judge, if we're going to go that route, then right at this moment, I'm going to make an oral motion to request an order to show cause against the doctor. In this case, I could tell you as an officer of the court that we did have contact. We even had contact with her assistant, provided her with a series of dates. The assistant never got back to us. We had to set the deposition based on the lack of communication. The day before the deposition is when they contacted us and said she was working and would not be available. Based on our attempts and our actual trying to coordinate with her schedule, yet not getting a response, I believe that would be sufficient for the court to issue the order to show cause. I want to get the deposition done, Your Honor. I'm not seeking punitive sanctions against her. I would leave anything of that nature up to the court. I just want to get the deposition done.
Is this case a priority in terms of time scheduling for the defense?
Other than it's one of the older cases that I would like to get through a resolution, Judge. What I would suggest if the state is not willing to do, as we said, that I will generate, if the court grants my request to issue an order to show cause, I will generate it. I will have it put on. We could have it on for that count. We could have the order to show cause matter done on the morning of that deposition, have it addressed with the court, and then we can take the deposition from there and then be prepared for the following cycle if we're going to go that way.
Mason, what's the state's preferred approach? Clearly, the defense has been frustrated in their ability to access this witness. What does the state prefer as far as the approach?
Your Honor, the state doesn't have any objection to the defense filing its motion for an order to show cause. I believe there's a process for doing that. So we would ask that be in writing and that the witness be served with notice of that hearing for the order to show cause. And we will make ourselves available for a deposition as soon as we're able to. Now, we're not saying that the state can't be available to take the deposition before the trial. We just are not in agreement with bringing in a witness on the trial date, which is the start of the trial cycle for purposes of a deposition.
Why would the state require the written motion and formal process based on the posture of the case and counsel's representations as to what has occurred?
Because, Your Honor, I believe that is the process. The witness needs to be on notice of the hearing for the show cause hearing.
But we're not asking. What I would do is I'm asking for the court for permission to file the motion for an order to show cause. I would be doing that. What I believe Ms. Mason's saying is that I need to notice this witness for my request for the court to issue.
No, I think you're both saying the same thing in different ways.
That's what I'm thinking. But absolutely. I mean, of course, for any order to show cause, the witness would have to be there in person. And
so at this point, then it looks like what we need to do here is Mr. Nagel is authorized to file a motion for an order to show cause to be scheduled in coordination with the state and the affected witness. We will continue the trial. I believe the defense is asking for only one cycle because the defendant's in custody. Is that correct?
That is correct, Your Honor. As long as we can get the show cause matter and the deposition done, we will be ready to go.
What's the state's preference for trial cycle?
Your Honor, the state would be available to go in the very next trial cycle. We are available for June.
It is heavily populated, but given the circumstances, I'll put it for June then. Those dates, Ms. Perry?
That would be June 8th pretrial at 9 a.m., June 14th calendar call at 9 a.m., and June 29th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Now, yeah, I think we can fit in the order to show cause before then.
As I said, my plan is to try and make the arrangements to do the deposition, the time of the order to show cause, Your Honor. So
All right.
5 minutes, 10 minutes in court maximum, and then half an hour afterwards to do the deposition if all parties are available, and it'll be done. So
Very well.
I don't think we need a lot of time in court.
Next is Benjamin Ekman, 20 CF 345, Mr. Ward, Ms. Mason.
Good morning, Your Honor. The defense remains ready. I did lose some impeachment evidence and computer crash. I'm working on getting that back. I don't think that'll slow us down, but that's where I'm at.
And length of trial still estimated to be 3 days max?
Yes.
Ms. Mason?
The state would agree, Your Honor. The state remains ready, and we would agree at 2 to 3 days max.
There are no changes, then it will remain as set. Ms. Curry, repeat the dates, please.
May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Next, we have LaProvis Fuller, multiple cases, 18 CF 1245, 19 CF 730, 733. One moment. Looks like 1534 and 1535.
I think you got them all.
Ms. Mead for the defense, Ms. Wilson for the state.
That's correct. And also, Mr. Maresca's on some of the cases also, Your Honor.
Oh, all right.
That's correct, Your Honor. Mr. Maresca has 2 of his cases, and I believe Ms. Wilson has the remaining 3. I have been able to obtain copies of all the transcripts of the depositions that were done before I was appointed to the case. I have all of discovery. I've had the opportunity to review it. I reviewed it with my client. My hope was that I would be able to speak to Ms. Wilson and Mr. Maresca together. There is an offer out there. However, in my review of all the discovery and going through the many transcripts, it appears there may be an issue for a motion to suppress. I'd like to discuss that and potential resolution. If we can't reach a resolution, then I would like the time to set that motion to suppress.
So, affecting all cases or just one?
That would affect the 2 cases that Mr. Maresca has.
Has there been any comprehensive plea offer?
There was a comprehensive plea offer. It was, I believe, 20 years followed by 15.
State update?
Your Honor, I was made aware of the fact that Ms. Mead wanted to speak with us. We could not arrange that last week. And of course, right now, Mr. Maresca is not available. If she is asking for a continuance, I do know, at least in regards to my cases, I believe we could do September if there's anything open. Otherwise, a lot of officers are out.
What does the state intend to try first of this potpourri?
Well, Your Honor, we have a violation of probation, which if we get at one point, we'll need to split off and do that one. I would think of the cases I need to speak with Mr. Maresca, but I was under the impression probably one of his cases might be the case to go on, or the 19733 case. So
there's the violation of probation would be heard first. And then after that, we could decide which of the trial cases to hear first.
Right,
So,
we could do that.
The state is not opposed to continuing the trial cases. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And
yes, Your Honor.
The state is requesting at this point to separate the VOP and assign it a hearing date. Is that correct?
Your Honor, actually, I'd prefer at this point to keep them together, and then if it is not going to get worked out, then yes, we need to split it off and go ahead and do a violation probation hearing.
Ms.
And,
Mead, when will the defense be in a position to determine the path of these cases?
Your Honor, I'm in agreement with that September date, because if we don't reach a resolution, that'll give me time to file the motion to suppress in the 2 cases, have that heard. We would definitely be in a position at that time. I don't have an objection.
October is actually the less populated docket compared to September, so I would probably be inclined to set all of the non-VOP cases together on that October trial cycle, with the state announcing later which one will be tried first, and to set the VOP perhaps for August and proceed in that manner. Any objection from either side?
No, Your Honor, that should work.
Your Honor, I do know that I have a witness out through, looks like August 9th for that month. And then I have witnesses out for a good portion of October. That's why I said September is definitely open. And however, we are double checking for the VOP to see if we could go ahead and set that out.
I believe, however, though, the state indicated it was more likely that the cases inherited from Mr. Maresca were likely to be tried first. So I assume that the October date would not affect that for the state. Is that right?
Judge, I'm checking for the October date. Is that the 11th through the 22nd?
Yes.
That's correct, Your Honor. We have one witness who's going to be out until October 12th, but I don't think that's going to be an issue.
And the state intends to try the cases currently assigned to Mr. Maresca first before the cases assigned to Ms. Wilson?
Your Honor, I don't know that we've made that determination just yet. I believe Ms. Wilson had stated that, but I don't know that that's actually been decided.
The only problem with September, how many cases do we already have on this jury?
43.
I mean,
Your Honor, we could go ahead and set this for October. I'd have no problem with that. And then we can try and see where we're at. We have enough cases that I think we should be able to do something during October.
The VOP, you had a problem with the August date. How about September for the VOP?
I can do that. And then we'll get with Ms. Mead, and if we need to, we can even try and move that up.
Ms. Mead, is all of that acceptable to you?
It is, Your Honor. And then clearly if we're able to come to a resolution, we can set it to an earlier plea date.
I noticed one of the cases involved an allegation of escape. We haven't had too many escape trials lately, so that might be interesting.
Well, yes. It would definitely be entertaining, Your Honor.
Okay. We'll have to take some extra measures in the courtroom. All right. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Were you able to keep track of all that?
No. So have we decided on October?
So we're going with October for all of the trial cases, and then September for the VOP hearing date at 1:30.
September for the VOP.
So if you can tell us the September VOP hearing date at 1:30, and then the trial cycle in October.
September VOP. There's 2 dates in September for VOP.
They are?
What are those dates?
There's September 1st and September 22nd.
Let's do September the 22nd.
And at 1:30.
Correct.
Okay.
And then the trial cycle in October?
That would be September 21st pre-trial. Ms. Mead, do you want 10:30?
Either is really fine.
Oh, okay, so 10:30. October 5th calendar call at 9 a.m. and October 11th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Next, we move to Francisco Gutierrez Cuellar. This is an interpreter case in Spanish, 19 CF 1061, Mr. Nagel, Mr. Maresca.
Yes, Judge, we can leave that set. I'm going to be speaking with Mr. Maresca to see about a final resolution plea offer in this matter. He was working on that, but we can leave that as scheduled at this point.
Trial length is anticipated at maximum 4 days.
I would agree with that still, Your Honor. I don't see any way that it could go beyond that.
Interpreter arrangements made?
Not at this point, Judge, but it's a Spanish interpreter as opposed to a foreign language one. I can put the request in and it won't be an issue at that point.
Ms. Mason?
No objection to leaving it set, Your Honor. The state has no witness issues.
Approved. Ms. Dury?
That would be for May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Yes, sir.
Nathan Harris, 19 CF 939, 20 CF 871. Mr. Ward, Ms. Wilson.
Yes, Your Honor. I've provided the state with some evidence that I was hoping would get them to drop the case. I think they're wanting a little bit more evidence. I'm working on getting that. I don't know if we want to set it to a different cycle or if we want to just remain a set.
Ms. Wilson?
Your Honor, I did receive part of the evidence. I know that there was one further item that we would need. And if we do receive that, he is correct, we would not be able to go forward on the case. So if we can just set this out, to whatever the nearest, not pack cycle, by that time, if he's able to get me the evidence that he says he can, then I believe the case would be gone.
Can that be accomplished before the current May trial cycle?
There's a chance, Your Honor. This is evidence that I did have that I lost in the computer crash. I'm working on getting it. It involves prescription records from Walgreens. So as I have the request, second request in with Walgreens, as soon as I get them, I'll give them to Ms. Wilson.
Would both sides otherwise be ready?
Yes, Your Honor. But I don't think this is, I know the evidence exists. Ms. Wilson's saying she'll dismiss the case if it does. So I'll just.
Well, I'm inclined to keep the pedal to the metal here and try to get this done now. If for some reason those records cannot be retrieved, we can address that at calendar call.
That's fine with the state, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Hurry?
So that would be May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Moises Hernandez Perez, 20 CF 129, Mr. Nagel, Mr. Maresca. You'll need to unmute Mr. Nagel.
The computer told me I was on mute as I was saying those words. So, Judge, it's the same with Mr. Gutierrez. I'm looking to get a final plea offer from Mr. Maresca. Let's leave it set on the docket at this point as it is now, and we will proceed and see if we can get this resolved without a trial.
Maximum 3 days trial?
I would believe so. Again, Your Honor, I don't believe it would take longer than that.
State comments?
No objection, Your Honor.
Ms. Mason agrees to keep as set. Ms. Dury?
May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Benjamin Claddy, 19 CF 1462, Mr. Ward, Mr. Maresca, through Ms. Mason.
Yes, Your Honor. We completed the deposition of the key witness in Bradenton last month. As a result of that deposition, we learned 2 civilians who may have heard my client allegedly confess. I have the address for one of them, and I'm still waiting an address for the other one. I'm scheduling the deposition of that alleged confession witness as we speak. So I think a later trial cycle in order to conduct the deposition is necessary.
State comment?
And Your Honor, the state has no objection to putting it on a later trial cycle.
Would August be sufficient time?
It should be, Your Honor, yes.
Approved. Ms. Dury?
July 13th pre-trial at 9 a.m., July 27th calendar call at 9 a.m., and August 3rd trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Next is an oldie but goodie, Mario Lorenzo Francisco, 18 CF 14. It seems like we've called this for 7 calendar calls.
It feels like that because again, that was a
Feels like
predate.
17.
it was a predate to the before the COVID situation
Right.
for him as well.
So any hope that this could be this cycle?
I say no, Judge, because I've not been able to confirm the Canhobao interpreter, which is what we need in this case, another specialty interpreter. I've been making attempts to get a hold of Ms. Mendez and have not been able to in the last couple of weeks. I've not been able to.
Both sides are otherwise ready, is that correct?
I would believe so. I'm not aware of the state's side's issues or any lack of, so.
I mean, given, and I know Mr. Lorenzo Francisco has been desirous of going to trial.
Yes.
And there's been 7 calendar calls. I mean, I'm inclined to keep this as set in the hope that Ms. Mendez, who is in Palm Beach, as I recall, might be available.
We can do that, Judge. We certainly can try. As I said, I need to get her over here earlier because I need to speak with my client before the trial actually begins as well. That's my only concern, but we can still leave it set, and I will let the court know sooner rather than later if there's an issue with Ms. Mendez.
Ms. Mason.
Your Honor, the state would be okay with keeping this set. I will note that according to Mr. Maresca's notes, it looks like there is a doctor who's unavailable. I don't know if that's a witness that he intends to call, but it looks like she's unavailable until the end of October. So if we could certainly keep it set, I'll let Mr. Maresca address that because I just don't.
Well,
availability.
no,
And I don't.
that's one that I'll have to hear, this alleged unavailability, because that may be one where the legal system takes priority over other professional schedules.
Understood.
I'm not prepared to accept a blanket assertion that see you in October because I'm a doctor. So this has been waiting for 7 calendar calls. That's going to have to be addressed by motion if that's the scenario. Otherwise, I'm keeping it as set. It's been through 7 calendar calls. However, I'll keep an open mind, and but I'll have to hear a pretty compelling reason to defer this all the way until October. So let's see what unfolds. I mean, we got complications. I understand it, but it's been way too long through 7 calendar calls. So let's see what happens.
Yes, sir.
As set. Ms. Doherty?
May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Again, I'll entertain any motions as appropriate based on professionals or interpreters, et cetera, but let's see what happens.
And for the record as well, Judge, we are actually still talking negotiations. There may be some room. I'm just letting the court know that we have begun some negotiations, and it is a back and forth process at this moment. But as I said, I'm fine with leaving it as where it stands at, subject to having Ms. Mendez available. That's my one concern.
I think I've heard that before, Mr. Nagel.
Yes, and unfortunately, when we have these unusual languages, we are at their mercy.
All right. Rafael Lorenzo, 19 CF 1013, Mr. Nagel, Mr. Maresca.
I can definitely tell the court we are not ready for trial, as I was just appointed on this case approximately 10 days ago. This was represented by a private counsel who withdrew. I have spoken with Mr. Lorenzo. I did that yesterday with the assistance of an interpreter, and Mr. Lorenzo is dropping off the paperwork that he has in this case because he's gotten it obviously sooner than I have. I have not yet been able to confirm if depositions were taken in this case. If they have not been, I will be scheduling those on an immediate basis. But I need to go through the paperwork that I'm getting right now before I can determine if it's been done or not. So,
PD trial was previously waived.
yes,
Where would the defense prefer to set this?
Can we put this on not this Thursday's case management, but the next one after that, and then we can pick a trial cycle from there. That'll give me the time to get any depots that are needed set up and scheduled and have time frames on those matters so we can have some realistic dates at that point.
Ms. Mason, any objection or comments?
Your Honor, and I apologize. I heard the name Lorenzo. Are we? I don't know which case this is. It's not the.
No, it's 19-1013, Ms. Mason. That's Rafael Nilo Lorenzo.
Your Honor, the state has no objection to continuing it.
Approved as requested by the defense. Ms. Curry?
June 10th at 9 a.m.
Damian Martin, Mr. Youngblood, Mr. Frazier, 19 CF 2180.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Hello.
Judge, when we were last here, I reported that the sheriff's office told me it would take months to copy the evidence, the video evidence. Well, they exceeded their own expectations and I now have it, but I just received it. So I don't think I can be ready for a calendar call May 18th. So my request would be to set it the next trial cycle after that.
Mr. Frazier.
So, Your Honor, actually, because I've been through all of that video, I understand Mr. Youngblood's request. The co-defendant, Brittany Maynor, 19 CF 2196, had a similar issue, and Ms. Mead set that on the trial calendar August 2nd. Because the facts are the same, the witnesses are the same, state would have no objection to setting the two cases together and addressing them for trial at the same time.
Makes sense. Any objections, Youngblood?
That would work.
Approved as requested. Ms. Jury?
July 13th pretrial at 10:30, July 27th calendar call at 9 a.m., and August 3rd trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Next is Richard Musso, 17 CF 22, as well as 19 CF 210, 20 CF 1124. Ms. Gunn listed for the defense, and Mr. Barger also listed, and Ms. Mason for the state.
Yes, Your Honor. Ms. Gunn had previously withdrawn from the case. I represent Mr. Musso on all cases.
Okay,
and,
so Ms. Curry will need to remove Ms. Gunn reference.
And we have a resolution that the state has provided us that we were willing to accept.
Wonderful. Is this a plea agreement for all cases?
It's a plea agreement for all cases, and we would be asking to go wherever the court likes. He is in custody.
In custody is time of the essence?
No, Your Honor.
Does the state have a scheduling preference?
No, Your Honor, we could go to the whatever plea docket, Your Honor.
This is an in custody plea agreement, Ms. Turi. What are the next two available dates?
May 13th at 3:30 or May 18th at 3.
Do you wish to have one of those or farther out?
Judge, are those ERC dockets?
May 13th is a Thursday, so no. And May 18th would be.
Okay, we would ask for the May 13th.
No objection from the defense.
Okay, both sides are agreeable with the 13th, even though it's pretty close in the future. That's okay?
Yes, Your Honor, no objection.
All right, repeat the date as requested, Ms. Turi.
May 13th at 3:30.
Next is Michael O'Connor, Mr. Barger, and Mr. Frazier, 19 CF 829, as well as 20 CF 848.
Yes, Your Honor. Justin Barger on behalf of Michael O'Connor. The 19 CF 829 is really the controlling case in this matter. We were just recently, we were appointed back in October. We scheduled all of the depositions because we have those all conducted and taken at this point. One of the things that I've been looking at was an expert for Mr. O'Connor due to a mental condition. And so that's being a little bit more timely than we wanted it to be. We would ask to put this out to the September or October dates so that way we can accomplish getting that expert retained.
This is not a competency issue?
No, Your Honor, it's not a competency issue. It has to do more with the time of the incident and what was going on with him. So we had looked into different avenues first. However, those were not legally sufficient. So now we're taking this.
At this point, if we go having some technical difficulties, stating internet connections unstable, but I think we're back in regular form now.
We are here.
Mr. Barger, this would not result in additional delay, is that correct?
We should have it done by that later date, like I was saying, Your Honor.
Mr. Fraser, I'm aware of this case from previously hearing motions in it. I know that the alleged victim was interested in having the case go forward. Does the state have any objection to the suggested new trial cycle?
Yes, Judge. And speaking with the victim, Mr. Wheeler, he's very interested and invested in getting a resolution to this case, understanding that the defense is putting up a legal defense issue as a basis for the continuance. If the court is going to grant that continuance, I would have a question about the court's trial dates for any proposed cycle. My calendar only goes out through August 31st. So I just want to make sure that my witness availability is not affected.
Okay, and do you have witness availability in August?
In August, there is a necessary witness that has approved leave from August 17th to the 20th.
Mr. Barger, can you accomplish what you need to do with the expert by August?
I can hope so, Your Honor. I can't make any guarantees, though.
Right, now, which case is the state trying first, 829?
Ideally, Your Honor, we would go on that case first. If there's any issue with going forward, then the state could potentially go forward with the 20 CF 848.
Hello? I'm just now hearing you.
So, Mr. Barger, you can be definitely ready in the October trial cycle?
Yes, Your Honor. I don't think that there would be any issues with that at all.
And the length of trial for the 829 case is estimated to be how many days?
I would estimate 3 days with pandemic restrictions, Your Honor.
Any issues for the state in the October trial cycle, Mr. Fraser?
In October, Your Honor, there is one witness that is unavailable from October 11 to October 18th. So depending on the
what are the dates in October, Ms. Terry?
October 11th through the 22nd.
So could the state proceed on the second week?
Let's see, the 22nd.
Or does the state prefer September?
The state would be available for the second week of that cycle.
And that runs what dates, Ms. Curry, the second week?
18th through the 22nd.
So a total of 4 days available there?
5.
5. So that should be enough for the trial and no witness issues for the state?
That's correct, Your Honor.
And defense can have all mental health experts addressed and disclosed well in advance of that date?
Yes, Your Honor, we can.
Is the state going to want to depose any defense mental health expert?
Depending on the whether or not the defense does disclose that, the contents of the expert report, the state may be in a position where we either need to depose or retain our own expert, but that's something that we would have to review the defense report for.
So, Mr. Barger, are you able to disclose whether or not there will be the mental health expert for the defense by August 1?
Yes, Your Honor, I can.
So that will be required for the expert to be able to be presented on behalf of the defense for a disclosure as to whether he will be added to the defense trial list by August 1. That should give the state time to mobilize with whatever it needs to do in response. And the October trial cycle is approved. Ms. Turi?
That would be September 21st pretrial at 9 a.m., October 5th calendar call at 9 a.m., and October 11th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Anything else on that case? All
No,
right.
Your Honor.
Next is Christopher Salters, 18 CF 1234, Ms. Stevens and Mr. Stewart.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Hello. Anyone covering for Mr. Stewart?
Laura Mason covering for Mr. Stewart, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Stevens.
Yes, Your Honor. I was just recently appointed at the beginning of last month, and I can acknowledge to the court, I understand that this has been pending for quite some time. Unfortunately for Mr. Salters, he was about 4 to 6 months, something extended without having counsel once his last attorney withdrew. So it took a little while for me to get appointed to the case. I know that these are very serious charges, and I have had conversations with my client regarding, what he would like to do. I have not received an offer, but I do have what appears to be the discovery at this point. So I don't know if you want to set this out as far as possible. I've heard the October dates given out by Your Honor for trial. I believe I can get caught up and, either resolve.
The co-defendant in this case was called earlier, Don Quavius Adams. That case was continued. Ms. Mason, is the state asking for that to track accordingly or separately?
Your Honor, at this time, would be asking that it track the other case. And Mr. Stewart has actually requested that this case go to another case management and a new trial date be selected from there. And I believe that's what we did with the co-defendant's case. I believe we put it on the June case management.
Any objection, Ms. Stevens?
No, and if speedy trial hasn't been waived, I assume it has at this point because it's been pending for so long, then we'll waive it this time.
Thank you. And that date is, Ms. Curry?
June 10th at 1:30.
Next is Jose Silva Santos, 20 CF 283, Mr. Khalil, Ms. Wilson.
And Your Honor, we can leave this as remain.
Length of trial anticipated to be 2 days?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Wilson.
Yes, Your Honor, we can leave, and I agree, it shouldn't be more than 2 days.
So it remains.
Your Honor, just so the court's aware, I filed a motion to revoke the bond, and that is set currently on May 21st because the defendant picked up a new violation in Broward County for a driving license been revoked also.
Very well. Ms. Turi, what are the dates for this trial cycle in May?
May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Next is Christopher Skinner, who I see has joined us remotely. Hello, Mr. Skinner.
Good morning, Your Honor. James Jonas on behalf of Mr. Skinner.
Yes.
On this one, Your Honor, we are confirming restitution payment with Mr. Skinner has made for the rental car. If we could leave it on for the 18th, we're working on a possible plea bargain.
Okay, these are cases 20 CF 566, 20 CF 571. Any state comments?
That is correct, Your Honor. Mr. Zonas did contact with me and asked me to consider the fact that restitution has been paid. I am asking for proof of that. In addition, I will be calling the rental car agency victim to get their input on what they want to see happen and to see if they can verify that restitution was paid for the first case, which is 20 CF 566.
What both cases remain as set for the May trial cycle, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor, if we can go ahead and leave that way, if we come to a resolution, then hopefully maybe that can be taken care of at calendar call.
Mr. Zonas, anything else?
Nothing further, Your Honor. The 18th sounds good.
Ms. Turi, dates?
May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Thank you, sir.
All right, very well.
Thank you.
Next is Brian Smith, 20 CF 336, Mr. Ward, Ms. Wilson.
Your Honor, if possible, could we set this for a plea today on the court's 3 o'clock ERC docket? My client is out of custody. He traveled down from Ohio hoping to get this case resolved.
Ms. Wilson.
I would have no objection to that, Your Honor.
It is set for 3 p.m. today for plea.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next is Thomas Turkelson, Mr. Barger, Mr. Ashby, 19 CF 1364.
Yes, Your Honor, Justin Barger on behalf of Thomas Turkelson. We did have a plea offer in this case that the client wants to take. We would ask to put this to the May 18th date.
State comments.
No objection, Your Honor.
What, is he out of custody?
He is out of custody, Your Honor.
There will be a plea agreement, Ms. Turi.
May 18th at 2:30.
All set.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next is Jabri Williams, 19 CF 1524. Mr. Nagel, Ms. Mason.
Judge, Mr. Williams bonded out of jail in the last couple of weeks and unfortunately was arrested on a new case in the interim. I'm in the process of getting an application filled out by him for our appointment. I've read the booking report. What I'd like to do is roll this case 1 month to the June trial cycle with the state's permission to get the other case, get the quick discovery on it, and work a resolution out in both of these matters.
Ms. Mason.
Your Honor, this state has no objection. It doesn't appear that we have any witness issues to go into the June cycle.
Thank you, Judge. I've seen the report. The case now currently, this new case is with Judge Foster, but once I get the approved, get our name in there, I'm going to get it moved to Your Honor's docket, and I'll put it on with a request for the same trial cycle with that matter. It's basically looks like a one witness case at max on the other charge, so it's not a lot of discovery needed.
Dates, Ms. Curry?
That would be June 8th pre-trial at 9 a.m., June 14th calendar call at 9 a.m., and June 29th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Length of case?
I'm sorry, did you say something? I couldn't hear you, Judge.
What would be the length of the case?
Oh, the current one that we have here, the 1524 case, I would say 2 to 3 days. There is a Spanish interpreter need by the state for one of their witnesses, but not for the defense side.
And Your Honor, I think we'd probably be closer to the 3 days. I would say probably 3 to 4 with COVID precautions.
Okay, that's been set then. That, I believe, completes all of the public defender portion of the pretrial conference. Do we have any early birds for the 10:30 docket? On the defense side, I don't see anybody on the screen. It's all looks like the state. Anything from 10:30 we can address now? Apparently not. So we will call an intermission, and we'll all go down to the lobby, as they say in the movies, and we'll be back at 10:30 for the next showing.
Thank you, Your Honor.
In recess.
That's why we moved back here from Florida. We're on your side. Six surgeries on his shoulders because they got this. Oh, gosh. And I went. surgery, four surgeries on my shoulders. Then they put a spinal cord stimulator in, so they cut open my C-spine. Then they did my staph infection. Oh no. Trust me, I totally feel your pain. Yeah, it's like you just want to be better. What do you would give? Yep. Yeah, it's frustrating. By happiness. If you had all the money in the world, you could see any specialist you wanted to. That sure makes you happy. Yeah. That's how I feel. So it does help. Yeah, it does help. My thing is like they schedule a specialist, and that's like 2 months, and the next bar is 2 months. So it's like, geez. Yeah. The hard part is the waiting. It is getting it in. Yeah. Yes, I have more answers to everything. My time. Right. Oh, wait. That's good. But I gained it pretty quick.
She lost it and I found it.
I found it too. Thanks for losing it.
Yeah.
None of my, none of my shorts are yet. You welcome to the drink. I got it. Thank you. I don't think you guys have gluten free snacks, so I need to try to make something. I don't know. I don't know if they have like applesauce and stuff. Yeah, and then gluten free. I don't know. No, and then I'm supposed to stay away from sugar. I'm allergic to almost everything. Really? Even my nutritionist from you is having a struggle getting me everything. Like nutrition wise. Yeah. Can I get you anything to drink or something?
No, dear, thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh. Look at that, right? They're quick around here. Oh, nice.
What's that?
Yeah. Stay up here. Wednesday. That Monday I was sick. I think yesterday I was too sick. More about with you today.
Hi.
I didn't even have asthma anymore. I got here and
He said, oh.
well, something else is. It's my husband and my our lives. Yeah. I didn't name I didn't live in the family. I try not to take over those people, but that's what they were. They love the best. I even had to do that. So brought in a plug-in thing that I go up. A little bit more to.
You're okay. I just wanted to have a little bit of cushion there.
Always found in hospital beds if I use a pillow. And that's pretty nice.
Take this off for me.
Oh, sorry.
I think I just put it over there.
Good. Okay.
Maybe I need that help.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yesterday before coming into, I drank 50 ounces of water, and then I was yesterday I was just the only reason I work is
Can I help with that?
I went to him, I said, so what kind of car is this? And it was a car I never even had. It was 10 years old. It was something I never owned. Read these people information. It is. I've yelled at you out for the list. I blocked them. New number will call right back. Oh, good.
Yeah, you're bleeding everywhere. So I apologize because. Okay.
Yeah. As long as I'm not looking at it.
Yeah, don't look.
There's cookie inside or what? I think when I'm looking at torch stuff.
Good.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the feeding pad beforehand helped a lot. That was very palpable.
So when I have to drive myself next time, I'll have to use that.
Yeah, just keep it in your car. Technically, you could just plug them into the back of your car too, because the back of your car has a plug.
In the back seat.
Yeah, I didn't think that. I forgot your back seat has a plug.
I'll say many new cars now do.
I have a contraption that you could plug up to 6 outlets in there.
Are like so excited at the action.
That's like a regular phone.
Yes.
You call that.
Yeah,
Because you have
just
them in the
outlet.
You know what?
Probably because I didn't let it dry long enough.
Oh.
A lot of times that'll be the case because of
As long as this don't get in that dot, this don't hurt so bad. Like I can't.
Did you try a feeding
I
pad
did
on
a
it?
couple times, not like I should. I should be like diligent with it. What are you doing?
Just waiting to.
You can try like
outlet.
capsaicin would help, but like a will help as well. Yeah, it's probably from that. I didn't
You're like, I see a good one. Which, yeah, I understand. Doesn't happen too often with me. But yeah, that feeding part. No. Okay.
You want me to turn down this light for you?
Sure. What do you have work to do?
Yeah, don't worry about it. That's fine.
Oh, there you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
One more blanket, yes.
No, other than like iron infusions, what else do you guys do? You don't do blood transfusions. Oh, you do blood transfusions?
Yeah.
Oh, that's. I thought you and Ann Arbor, the nurse said, don't go to Brighton because they'll have to send for the blood.
Yeah, so it takes a lot longer. They actually have to.
That's
all
good.
there,
right?
But that payment screen, and then send it here. It could take up to 2 hours. We plan on 2 hours of transportation time.
Okay.
And then you got 2 hours for the just know that you're gonna check in. Situation, you gotta get that form, access done, and you're literally sitting here doing them for 2 hours, up to 2 hours the first. When you get that transfusion.
Yeah, usually with the transfusions, if they make 2 bags, then they do the max time, which is a slow drip because of the reaction.
Yeah.
So that ends up being
yeah, so you would be here first thing in the morning, but we have to
Yeah.
plan that 2 hours.
Exactly, so then I'm out of
travel.
Yeah,
But then the
that's
2
what
will come in.
Okay. You have seen anything out here, doctors in this building? But see,
Oh, in this building, I don't know for sure.
Because they just go to the pathologist.
Yeah.
And there could be one here. It's so much nicer.
I don't know if they do. I know our here.
Okay. Yeah.
If you want, I can add in to your insurance report. Create a document that's what we do.
Okay.
Yeah, just.
Oh, cool. Yeah, because I'd rather do more insurance.
Plan it for you.
Okay, thank
Just
you
like
so
you
much.
read.
Thank you.
You guys need anything else?
Good?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I need to see if there's a hematologist.
Yeah.
That would be better. Another one that put him in order, so they come in with like blood shot. They could, check it and then schedule for the next day.
Yeah. It's the hearing in Zoom.
What?
My attorney. My attorney.
Are you doing it?
Yeah.
I was wondering if you need to.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I'm good.
Great, even date of birth again.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hold up here.
No,
You guys do the-
thanks.
Is this also where you guys do like the kilo? What is the thing? I don't know what it is.
Literally 2 days.
Okay, so it's a full, yeah, full infusion.
We used to have kids here.
That time.
We don't have kids here. So, have our kids back. And when
Yeah. Okay. I should have out that there's one for it. Will not be bringing it home.
yeah, well, that's why I think.
Yeah.
Hey, are you in court? Oh, I didn't know that. Okay. Alrighty. How did you? Well, because I have court too.
So 11:30.
So,
You guys need anything?
on what?
Thank you. Thank you.
Zachary Rydell. You have Richard Laley.
Yeah, but it's
I know. So Lydell, we had to cancel our depositions and we've reset them. And I'm planning on doing a motion to stand your ground.
So yeah, Owen Borelli or Lally. What is it?
Okay. All right. How was your trial?
I'm watching #1 in jury selections.
Oh, really? Okay.
Mm-hmm. They issued notice to appear for my guys tomorrow, but if this trial, I mean, they're in jury selection right now, so I don't think they want to take an offer. Well, maybe I think right before the jury is sworn, maybe they would send an offer.
Okay.
I'm thinking either way. They said this, I'm supposed to go to trial on real.
Okay.
And so they issue those appear tomorrow. This
I
trial
gotta get
is
the
on.
hold for 1 second. Oh.
Man, I wanted to hear the exciting conclusion of that phone call. It was almost better because you're not on mute, so we got to hear you fall back. That was actually the best part of it. That'll wake you up.
I don't see a record button, so.
Can someone mute Sal, please?
One of your colleagues was, and she kind of played it off like she didn't notice, so. this room before.
Oh,
That's
man.
not a good excuse, though, is it? Okay. All right. I'll fall on the sword, Sal.
By the way, Dominic, my wife has been trying to mute me for like 20 years. It hasn't happened yet.
It's impossible, I guess.
She
Yeah.
She hasn't figured it out.
So while you're smiling now, let me make you unhappy. Let's talk about the Mets.
Oh my gosh. Why does DeGrom even go out there?
That's what I said. I said, I mean, it reminds me of a much more serious offense like what they did to Glavine the last 2 years he pitched for the Mets, right?
Yes.
The poor guy should be. I mean, he's going to be a Hall of Famer no matter what, but he's going to be a Hall of Famer going into the Hall of Fame with only 60 wins, but a less than 2 ERA.
It's unbelievable.
It's crazy. It's insane. And then now, Diaz apparently has turned back into a pumpkin.
I mean, their hitters can't be that bad, can they?
But Lindor, they're bad when they come to the Mets. They come play for the Mets. They're superstars everywhere else.
It's been like that for decades.
You re-sign Bobby Bonilla.
Oh,
that's
God.
right. You're still paying him. That's right. You're still paying him.
I was saying, since we're paying him, why don't we make him the hitting coach? Maybe he can help.
That's right. We need one now.
I just feel like I'm not flexible.
What a frustrating joke.
It's so you sure? I probably won't be that she's the same thing.
Worse, you could be Mike Trout.
Are you sure you know where it's coming from? Right? Exactly. Jesus. Oh, believe me, I know. Yeah, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you.
Greetings to everyone. Welcome to the virtual pretrial conferences. And as is customary, do we have any counsel that have a conflicting court appearance that need to be called earlier? I'll go ahead and take those requests now. Anyone fall into that category? All right.
I do, Your Honor, Angelique Augustin on behalf of Jordan Rivero.
We're turning to Mr. Rivero's case. And 1 moment.
Thank you.
And who is opposing counsel?
I believe it's Brian.
Ron Asher on behalf of the state, Your Honor.
Mr. Ed, this is a 18 CF 1898. And is Mr. Amster also co-counsel, Ms. Augustin?
No, Your Honor.
So Mr. Amster should be removed?
Yes, please.
All right, Ms. Turi, please do so. What is the defense comment?
Your Honor, the depot was taken of the alleged victim and law enforcement officer, but there was one witness that we were unable to depose, and we're asking for a pretrial conference. Mr. Villacava's assistant is in the process of coordinating a date with the state attorney's office for that deposition.
Mr. Ashby?
No objection, Your Honor.
So when can the defense be ready for trial based on the remaining discovery?
Your Honor, my understanding is the last thing we need to do is take that deposition. So if she shows up, then we should be ready. But again, at this point, we're just asking for another pretrial conference.
The case was set for this trial cycle. When is the deposition set for?
Unfortunately, it's not scheduled yet. I believe the date that the state provided conflicted with our schedule. So they're still working out a mutually convenient date for the deposition.
How significant is this witness?
Significant.
Okay.
A lay witness related to the alleged victim.
Is this someone that could be deposed prior to testifying and keep the trial?
No, Your Honor, that wouldn't give us an opportunity to consider the testimony, go over it with our client, get a deposition transcript to to be utilized at trial.
Mr.
So we
Ashby,
would respectfully.
you anticipate any difficulty? It's a state listed witness, I assume. Any difficulty in procuring the attendance of the witness?
State does not foresee that, Your Honor.
All right. Length of trial in this case is anticipated to be how many days from the defense?
I defer to the state, Your Honor.
Your Honor, state would say 3 days.
Can the parties be ready in August?
That would give us ample time, Your Honor. Yes.
Your Honor, what are your August dates again?
That would be August 3rd through August 6th.
But I do have a witness that is out during that cycle.
Is the passage of time creating unfair prejudice for either side?
No, Your Honor.
Not for the state, Your Honor.
Ms. Turi, how many cases do we have in July versus in September?
25 in August and 43 in September.
No, what about July?
There are none in July.
Okay. So it looks like the option would be then, based on the state's witness unavailability, to set this in September. Any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Very well. What are those dates, Ms. Turi?
August 17th pretrial at 10:30, August 31st calendar call at 9 a.m. and September 8th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Very well. Any others, Ms. Augustine?
No, Your Honor. I would just ask if the case manager could please repeat those dates.
August 17th pretrial at 10:30, August 31st calendar call at 9 a.m. and September 8th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Any other counsel, state or defense that has a conflicting court appearance that needs to be called now?
Judge, I don't have a conflicting court appearance, but I do have a meeting at 11 over Zoom. I was hoping I could go
Okay.
earlier.
Mr. Harris, which case? The Burgess case?
The Burgess case, yes.
All right, that is case numbers 19 CF 2142, 19 CF 2159. Ms. Wilson for the state, Mr. Harris for the defense. And counsel, I have considered the evidence submitted in terms of the current evaluation by Dr. Arias, the most current, as well as the previous evaluations by Collins and McMurray. Those are some a bit stale at this point, but nonetheless, I did want to look at those. I understand that there is a notice of insanity defense and reference to that defense in Dr. McMurray's report. Having considered all of that, based on the totality of the reports and the current evaluation by Dr. Arias, I do find, as counsel recognized, that there is a distinction between competency and insanity at the time of the offense. I do find that as currently reported, Mr. Burgess would be competent to proceed, and I will enter a written order memorializing that. So I believe we need to set this for the appropriate trial cycle.
Yes,
So,
Judge.
Your Honor, there was a, now that he's been found competent, once the order is signed, we actually have, the state has sent to your office two motions and orders, one for each case, to have the state's expert evaluating for sanity or insanity. And that was unopposed. So I did send that to your office yesterday. It just has to
Is that
signed, I
correct
believe.
that those motions are unopposed?
They are, Judge. I'd like you to sign them as soon as possible so we can get that moving.
Ms. Turi, would you let my assistant know that those motions, those orders can be approved as unopposed?
Sure.
Thank you.
And Your Honor, it looks like we have, defense counsel has a hearing set up on 6/1 in regards to consolidating the cases. That's at 1:30 to be heard at 3:30. Perhaps we can set this case for CMC on that date also, just so that we keep the case going.
Mr. Harris.
That's fine.
Anything else from the defense for today?
No, sir. Was that at 1:30 or 3:30? I didn't understand.
It's on a 1:30 docket, but it says on the, in the notes that it's in the clerk's notes, it says 3:30, to be heard at 3:30.
We'll be there at 3:30. Okay.
Is that something that's going to be an in-person or remote appearance?
We can do that over Zoom.
Is the defendant's appearance waived or necessary?
It's waived.
All right, so that should make it easier. So the cases are reset to case management. At that point, we can discuss where it should be appropriately set for the trial. All right.
Yes, sir.
So the date in June will be what date, Ms. Wilson? You were saying it's already set?
Yes, June 1st.
Okay. Mr. Harris, any other cases?
No, sir. Thank you very much.
Very well. Any other counsel that has conflicting appearance wishes to be called now? All right, then back to the order as we were. I believe that we begin with Thomas Basties, Mr. Hollander, Mr. Ashby, 20 CF 172. And I see Mr. Hollander, his box is there, but looks like he's still muted. Mr. Hollander, are you able to respond at this time? Then I will recall it. Next is Carmine Biello, 18 CF 779. Mr. Levin for the defense, Mr. Maresca through Ms. Mason for the state. And greetings again, Mr. Levin.
Your Honor, good morning. Albert Levin on behalf of Mr. Biello, who's also present on Zoom.
All right. Greetings.
Approximately 3 weeks ago, I had a discussion, an email session with Mr. Maresca, who advised that the state was not going to be ready for trial because he was leaving the office and the case was going to be reassigned. I asked him if he knew who the new prosecutor would be. He indicated he did not know. So that's my understanding as to the posture of the case for this coming cycle.
Ms. Mason.
Your Honor, I don't have any information on that conversation. I do know that Mr. Maresca will no longer be here on this for this particular trials cycle. If that conversation if the defense is otherwise ready for trial, I would assume that we could also become ready. But if that conversation changed the defense's ability to their preparation for trial, then we wouldn't have an objection to continuing this to one trial cycle.
Does the state request to extend to another date based on the change of counsel?
Your Honor, I think that would be best. I would also note that this case is designated complex. I personally don't have any information as far as how many witnesses the state intends to call, or whether this really needs to be on a complex trial cycle or if it could go forward on a standard one. So I think that it would probably be better if there's no prejudice to the defense that we do continue this to another trial cycle.
What's the defense preference of scheduling?
Your Honor, the September trial schedule sounds appropriate. My problem for July is I have a number of cases set in the Southern District of Florida, which has basically not been in session live, and they're starting again on July 3rd. And judges have basically been telling us to make yourself available for July. So that's my issue. I have a number of cases set there.
So how does your October look, Mr. Levin?
My October is fine as of right now, but yes, I'll certainly, if you're going to put this down for October, it'll be my priority case for October, Your Honor.
Yeah, I think we have less cases there than in September, and we have more trial days.
That's fine.
So Ms. Turi, how many trial days in the October cycle?
7.
7?
Mm-hmm.
And this is indicating length of trial is about 4 to 5 days, so that should be plenty. Does the state have any witness issues that you're aware of for October?
None that I'm aware of, Your Honor.
All right, I think that's the best landing spot based on the entirety of the conversation. So Ms. Turi, if you'll please state those dates.
September 21st, pretrial at 10:30, October 5th calendar call at 9 a.m., and October 11th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Any substantial pretrial motions or discovery issues not already addressed?
There was a child hearsay exception motion filed that's pending.
So that has not been scheduled, but has been filed, Mr. Levin?
Yes, I've responded to the state's motion, and It has not been scheduled as of yet. That's correct, Your Honor.
Mason, I will require that the defense schedule that for hearing if it intends to proceed on that prior, obviously, to the trial cycle, to be heard prior and preferably at least 30 days before.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else requested?
Nothing from the defendant, Your Honor.
All right, everything is set. Did we state the dates already? I believe we did, Ms. Turi.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, it's all set. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor. Have a nice day.
Goodbye.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next to Clayton Diltz, Ms. Upson, Ms. Wilson, 19 CF 881. Any sightings of Ms. Upson? I don't see her on the Hollywood Squares here, so.
No, I don't see her.
Okay, I'm going to recall that. That's just a test of everybody's trivia knowledge, if you recall that program. All right. Rhonda Goff, Mr. Lucarelli, Ms. Mason, CF 1102.
Love the reference, Judge. I spoke to Ms. Mason yesterday.
Paul Lind in the center square.
He was great. He was great. I'd ask for Judge. We've got this case is resolved, but there's a public defender case and there's a possible global resolution. I contacted Abdul from the PD's office, so I tried to contact him yesterday. Left another message for him this morning. Haven't heard back. I'd like to discuss with him and with Ms. Mason and try to get a global resolution on all the new case and my older case. But it's not going to be a trial.
Where do you wish to set it?
I think if we could set it out 3 weeks or a month, give me a chance to work that out with, she's in jail now. I don't think she can get out based on, if we can, when is your next court date, Judge? I don't think 3 weeks.
Would it be on a plea docket? Is that what you're requesting or something else?
That would be, can we just put on a plea docket with the understanding that I still need to speak to to Abdul about a global resolution? If that doesn't work, we'll resolve my case on the plea docket.
Then Ms. Mason, any preferences to the state for scheduling?
No, Your Honor, I think that I agree with Mr. Lucarelli that we put this a couple of weeks out. There has been a global resolution that's been extended. However, if Mr. Lucarelli is going to plea out both cases, one of them's Mr. Khalil represents him on. I do understand that he needs some time to speak with him about it. So we'd be fine going, 2-3 weeks out.
So this, Ms. Turi, would be an in custody plea, and we're looking at 2 to 4 weeks out. Can you identify a date?
May 24th at 2 p.m.
How does that work?
Judge, I think that's okay. I know that we have something on the docket at 1:30, so if we're doing it, we could do it probably 1:30 or 2 o'clock.
So again, that's okay with you, Mr. Lucarelli?
That seems to work, Judge. Yes, thank you.
So Ms. Turi, what's the date and time again?
May 24th at 2 p.m.
For plea agreement.
Thank
Now,
you, Judge.
that's for an in-custody plea. The defendant will be available, Ms. Turi, either by audio, visual, or in person?
The defendant, yes.
Right, okay. Next is Justin Gutierrez, Mr. Berry, Ms. Wilson, 20 CF 866.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Meetings?
If we could set this for a plea on June 11th, that would be great. 9:30.
Out of custody plea?
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Turi, any problem with that date and time?
Out of custodies, I have June 1st, 8th, June 1st or June 8th.
Okay, I was going by the calendar we had. It was June 11th was a plea date, but
It's complicated, Mr.
Yeah,
Berry, with all the courtroom and other arrangements, so.
June 8th is fine.
Ms. Wilson?
Let's see, June 8th that looks like that's an ERC date.
All right, let me get clarification on this, because this has become a repeated theme about this, and I need to once and for all get this clarified, and I'm going to contact Melissa.
Okay.
A lot of moving parts to this.
Yeah, June 8th isn't, you've got a pretrial conference that day as well.
Judge Manalich office.
Hello, Melissa. Could you provide some clarification? It seems to be coming up on a repeated basis. With regard to, and I know it's very complicated right now because of all of the pandemic as well as all of the courtroom coordination issues on these in custody and out of custody pleas. Are some of these pleas being put on ERC docket dates?
Yes, I'm trying to put it, I'm trying to put in custody pleas wherever we have the audio-visual capability.
Okay, and why is it necessary to fill in over into those ERC dates?
Because the dockets that you have, plea dockets, one of them is you have calendar call at 9 o'clock and then pleas at 10, and usually has about 50 to 60 cases set at 9 o'clock. So there's no way you can have a plea docket at 10 o'clock.
Okay. So that's by way of explanation, but I'll obviously hear requests on individual basis, but we are limited as to where because we only have a certain number of essential hearing dockets. Is that correct, Melissa, where we can have?
I get like 2 a month, so I really have to use the ERC plea docket, VOP docket, and that's why I send these lists to the case manager so that the regular plea docket is not being used.
Okay, so back to the case at hand, Mr. Berry and Ms. Wilson, this is an out of custody plea. And the parties are asking to set this in June, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. And Ms. Wilson?
Your Honor, I did set one earlier at 3 o'clock, I believe, on the 8th. Can we add this one, even though it's out of custody, to the 3 o'clock docket also?
Now, Melissa, does that create any problem if we just put it at 3 o'clock versus 2:30?
It would be better if it was set the 2:30 out of custody docket. That way we have it separated.
Right, but who's impacted negatively if it's at 3? The jail?
I'm just trying to make it consistent. It's already.
But we have some flexibility on that.
I would rather not.
Okay. What's your thinking, Ms. Wilson, as to why you want to have it at 3 o'clock? Because you do all the ERC docket.
And because
because I used to do the ERC, but I do not do it anymore, Your Honor. That's done by Mr. Scuderi, and so they've already been in court, and they're setting their pleas at that time. So when we set it in, it takes up their time. So my thought is if we do it at 3, then we're at least doing it where we can set it right after they finish their cases.
Okay, because otherwise it's impacting Mr. Scuderi and the staff assigned to the ERC.
Correct.
And one thing, I'm limited to the number of cases I can set there also. So I need to really only use it for in custody cases, not out of custody cases.
The limit on the number of cases you can set, what is that driven by? By the jail or by us?
I'm just limited on how much audio-visual connection time I have, and I'm not going to use time that is dedicated for that type of docket for someone who is out of custody.
Well, we'll have to work through that with the stakeholders because obviously there's competing concerns here. I just wanted to air it out because it's come up repeatedly now. For the time being, because the state attorney is being directly impacted by this, their staffing, I'll go ahead and approve the 3 o'clock, and for down the road, we'll discuss it further with the stakeholders. So we'll take them on a case-by-case basis. All right, so that kind of airs out the issue as far as what we're dealing with. It's pretty complicated. All right, thank you, Melissa.
So Mr. Gutierrez is set for June 8th at 3 p.m.
Correct.
Got it.
All right, the power of summation, Mr. Berry.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, next we move on to Wayne Scott Jean, Ms. Mead, Mr. Maresca, 18 CF 1694. Any sightings of Ms. Mead? There
Yes,
she
Your
is.
Honor.
Comments?
Defense is ready, Your Honor. The only issue may be that Mr. Jean is currently in the Lee County Jail.
I assume we would use a transport order.
Yes, and hopefully I could get him here by the trial date.
State comments.
Your Honor, the state remains ready. So if an order to transport can be prepared and he can actually be transported, we'd be ready to go to trial this cycle.
Ms. Mead, are you able to submit a proposed order?
Yes, I will, Your Honor.
Any other issues affecting the trial? Length of trial, is it estimated to be 3 days?
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else?
No.
All
Nothing
right.
from the state.
Ms. Turi?
That will be May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Christopher Lee, Mr. Verderamo, Mr. Ashby, 19 CF 2371.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Greetings.
We have a deposition scheduled for June 22nd of a civilian witness. This witness has missed the depot, I believe, 1 or 2 times now. I believe at the conclusion of the deposition, I'm going to file a motion, potentially stand your ground.
So it does alter the case substantially.
Correct.
Now, is an order to show cause appropriate at this time?
No, I believe there was some confusion on the last deposition, whether he was to appear by Zoom or in person. So there was an effort at least made. So we've re-coordinated a deposition for June 22nd.
Mr. Ashby?
No objection, Your Honor.
I'm inclined, given when I hear stand your ground, then things come to a grinding halt. And I'm thinking possibly October for this case. Any objection?
No objection from the defense.
Mr. Ashby, witness availability?
Your Honor, I do have a witness that is going to be out if we have one moment. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem.
All right, Ms. Turi?
September 21st pre-trial at 10:30, October 5th calendar call at 9 a.m. and October 11th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Next is Richard Laley, Ms. DeCaro, Mr. Samato, 19 CF 1648.
Good morning, Your Honor. Sino Samato on behalf of the state.
Hello.
Good morning, Christina DeCaro for Mr. Lely. Your Honor, we've completed depositions in this matter, and we're in continuing negotiations with the state. I would request at this point that we leave it as set.
No objection.
So length of trial anticipated?
3 days, Judge.
Okay, and dates applicable, Ms. Turi?
That would be May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial at 9 a.m.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Judge.
Julian Laredo, Ms. Mason, 18 CF 843. Hello, Mr. Tyndall, can you hear us?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
I'm here for Julian Laredo.
Contacting us from Fort Lauderdale, is that right?
Yes, yes.
I see the big city backdrop behind you there.
That's the old courthouse, Judge.
Okay. Comments?
About this case?
Correct. Not about business.
I think we're ready, Judge.
Okay. Length of trial anticipated, it could last up to 5 days, or would it possibly exceed 5?
It's a possibility it would exceed 5. I don't. I think it probably could be done in a week. It's going to be a 2-defendant trial. Mr. Bazaz represents the other.
Okay, that's right. Mr. Bazaz is also connected. Which is your case, Mr. Bazaz?
My client's last name is Martins, Martins.
Okay. And I believe there are multiple witnesses involved in this case, if I recall correctly.
That's correct.
Does either defense counsel object to a joint trial?
I'm sorry, object to what?
I didn't hear, Judge.
A joint trial.
Oh, no, Judge.
No.
Okay. And Ms. Mason, is the state seeking to proceed as a joint trial?
At this time, we are, Your Honor. And I would also note that this is designated complex. I think the reason it was set on a regular trial docket was because this was a cycle, because we expected that it was going to be at least 5 days. This was the cycle that would have, if we were on the normal cycle, that it would have given us more time to be able to try the case. So we are seeking to do it as a joint trial at this time. And I would agree that it's going to take, I would expect 5 days. We do have a Spanish interpreter as well. There is a possibility of it going a little bit longer, but my hope is that we could get this done in 5 days.
The concern, and I think the bailiffs are impacted by this as well as everyone else, is the logistics of this joint trial with the current pandemic restrictions in terms of the setup of the courtroom, the number of jurors to be impaneled, etc. That would be my main concern. Additionally, Ms. Turi, how many trial days are available total in that May period? I believe it's only 5.
4.
So I don't think we have a sufficient number of days, especially where I'm hearing 2 defendants and possibly interpreters. I'm also concerned about the logistics. I understand that at least Mr. Laredo, well, both are incarcerated. So I understand the desire, especially on the defense side, to proceed, but I don't think we have the capacity right now to address this in May. Comments?
I understand, Judge.
Yeah, I guess just when's the next trial cycle? That's 5
Well,
days or more.
The first thing is to find one that has somewhere between 5 and 10 days available.
Right.
The second thing, I think if things continue in the right direction on the pandemic front, maybe we'll have less courtroom logistics as we look into the future here. Ms. Turi, what is the first cycle that you see starting with the summer for 5 to 10 days of trial time or days available?
We could do September.
How many days available there?
8.
So that's more in line with the time estimation in this case, and would probably give us the hope that maybe some of the courtroom logistics will be easier to manage. We do have social distancing factors, et cetera, that right now, I'm not, Officer Harrison, I'm not sure we could accommodate that with, even in our large courtroom with the jury set up the way it is with 2 defense tables. We might be able to at the 2 different tables, now that I think about it.
Depends on how many how much counsel that
Right.
defendant has.
But assuming each defendant has 1 defense counsel, I think we can, the logistics are all right. Now, we only have 19 jurors in the panel initially as we select, but we do a lot of pre-screening. So I think those things we might be able to overcome.
But then we have the interpreter where we don't place.
Right, we'll have to figure out where we put the interpreter, et cetera, but I think we can overcome those things. I think the biggest thing is the earliest opportunity for the number of days we need for a joint trial. Ms. Mason, the state is seeking to pursue this as a joint trial, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
And there are no constitutional issues affecting a joint trial from the defense perspective?
Not that I know of at this time, Your Honor.
And I agree.
The state would agree. I don't believe there are any Bruton issues here.
Okay. Then, Ms. Turi, the earliest date where we would have between 5 and 10 days, and I think you said specifically 8 days, was September, is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any objection to September based on witness availability, counsel schedules, anything like that?
What would be the trial week?
September 8th through the 17th.
That's fine.
Mr. Tyndall?
That's fine with me, Judge.
Ms. Mason?
Your Honor, the state would be okay during that time period. We do have 1 witness who's out between the 10th and the 14th, but I think that we'd be able to work her testimony within that time frame.
Now, I'm assuming the parties, based on everything we've discussed, would want this designated a priority case based on age and everything else?
Yes, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Turi, let's reflect that as we rank the cases for that month. So I think then any other discussion?
Nothing else, Judge.
Looks like we've landed it in the appropriate place. Again, 8 days, that everybody believes that even with the unexpected, that should be enough of a safety margin to make sure we can complete it.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, then Ms. Turi, all dates, please.
Pre-trial will be on August 17th at 10:30, calendar call August 31st at 9 a.m., and September 8th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Thank you. Felix Nelson, 19 CF 1955, Mr. Zonas.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, good morning, Your Honor.
Greetings.
Yeah, this one's just ready for trial.
It just is. Does the state agree, Mr. Ashby?
Yes, Your Honor. State's ready.
All right. Length of case, 2 to 3 days.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Turi?
That would be May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 25th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Owen Onfroy, Mr. Verderamo, Ms. Nixon, 19 CF 1127. Mr. Nunez to be deleted from council list.
Correct.
All right. Comments?
We're ready for trial.
State is also ready.
Estimated length 2 to 3 days.
Yes.
Any other complications?
None from the defense.
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Remains as set. Ms. Turi?
May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Amber Payne, 20 CF 630. Ms. Mead, Ms. Wilson.
Your Honor, we have reached a resolution in that case. I believe we have it set for a plea on June 1st.
Yes, that's my understanding.
Okay, that was already coordinated among counsel in my office or from court, or how did we set that?
I think we may just be waiting to hear back from Melissa. We were offered that date and we both agreed on it.
Okay, is that a date you show for out of custody plea agreements, Mr.?
Yes.
So again, what date and time, Ms. Turi?
June 1st at 1:30.
Approved.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Woodley Pierre Louis, 20 CF 639. Mr. Zonas, Mr. Ashby.
Yes, Your Honor. On Mr. Woodley Pierre Lewis, I had invited him to review the discovery and video in my office before he made his decision. I don't feel it's a triable case. Has not come to the office, but he has been in contact with me. If we could put it on the 18th, Your Honor, for a plea. The probation offer.
Well, that's the is that correct?
My apologies, Your Honor. You broke up there. I didn't.
Yeah, I can't hear.
Yeah, the 18th, is that the calendar call date?
It is. That I have that as a count.
Okay, so right now Pierre Louis has not yet accepted the plea agreement. Is that right, Mr. Zonas?
He is tentatively accepted it, but wanted to review some discovery, which I've invited him to the office to review with me, and he has not attended that. At this point, I don't feel it's a triable case. I don't want the state to call witnesses. So I would say the 18th, and then if anything changes between now and then, I would immediately inform the court for a plea.
Ashby, how do you wish to proceed?
Yeah, I suggest we leave it at that. If the defendant changes his mind, the state's prepared to have a trial.
So it will be meeting to set the jury trial. We'll discuss on the 18th whether it should be set differently.
Thank you, Your Honor. And then on Mr. Nelson, I may have a conflict on the May 24th trial cycle or May 25th trial cycle with another case that's already set. Is there any other dates? Maybe a week later?
You said Mr. Nelson?
Yeah, it was just called a moment ago.
Okay. You're asking to move that to a different trial cycle?
Just a week would be fine. It's just running into another trial.
Okay. That is 19 CF 1955. Mr. Ashby, you're also on that case. Any objection to changing that trial cycle?
One moment, Your Honor. State has no objection, Your Honor. State has no witness issues that we can see.
Just one cycle movement, Mr. Zonas?
The sooner the better. Thank you, Your Honor. That's fine.
So what are the dates on Nelson, Ms. Cherry?
That would be June 8th pre-trial at 10:30, June 14th calendar call at 9 a.m., and June 29th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
And Mr.
Thank you,
Peter
Honor.
is staying at this, what are those dates?
All right. Thank you, Your Honor. We waive speedy trial.
Pierre Louis. Ms. Turi, what are the dates on Pierre Louis?
Pierre Louis would be May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Very well.
All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Zachary Rydell, CF 481 Fish for the defense, Ms. Mason for the state.
Attorney Monica Fish. I'm requesting a continuance. We have our depositions that have been reset to June 16, and I need a little time for that. I am planning on filing a motion to stand your ground. I would respectfully ask for a continuance.
State comments.
Judge, well, the state's ready for trial. These depositions were set and then they ended up getting canceled. But understanding that they are, and that was canceled by the defense, understanding that they're being reset, I don't know that we'd be available to go in June if there's depositions that need to be taken and then a possible stand your ground motion that would need to be filed and heard. So I don't know if your honor is inclined to grant it. I think we'd probably have to go out maybe the October trial cycle.
Will the state be unfairly prejudiced by the passage of time?
I don't believe so, your honor.
October dates are approved. Ms. Turi?
September 21st pretrial at 10:30, October 5th calendar call at 9 a.m., and October 11th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Okay, next is Arturo Ruiz Lopez, 20 CF 829, Mr. Hanukkah, and Ms. Marzano. Do we have Ms. Marzano? Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Good morning, Your Honor. Daniel Hanukkah for Mr. Ruiz Lopez. Your Honor, requesting this to be set for another pre-trial. Depositions are set this month. After that, I believe I only have one more deposition. We have engaged an expert, and he's still evaluating the defendant. I've obtained some of the medical records, but there are some that are from many years back that I'm still trying to obtain from the David Lawrence Center.
What is the defense request?
Another pretrial conference, I would say, if I have to depose my expert, I would say in probably July.
State comments, Ms. Marzano.
Yes, Your Honor. Mr. Hanukkah just disclosed the CV of his expert today. I really don't know what we're doing with this case. I mean, the defendant admitted to the crime. I think the issue, I don't think this expert really is appropriate for a trial expert. And I might have to file a Daubert motion, I think, because really I guess he's going to talk about PTSD, or something like that, anxiety disorder, etc. Which, while that might be relevant, in my opinion, to any kind of a sentencing, I don't really understand what it is he can say that would be appropriate for trial, since we don't have diminished mental state in Florida. So I'm kind of, I need to take his deposition just to figure out what it is he's going to say so that I could perhaps file some kind of a motion.
Has there been a disclosure of the expert at this point, Mr. Hanukkah?
Your Honor, I've given her
Yes.
the name and the CV. As far as I haven't filed a formal defense disclosure. But like I said, he's still evaluating him. Once he completes the evaluation, at that point, I presume Ms. Marzano would depose him. And then, I don't know if you want me to respond as far as whether he's a trial. I think he's both in this case here. The only thing that makes this case criminal, Your Honor, is the leaving of the scene. And the reason why he left is certainly relevant and material. And that's what our expert is going to talk about, and why Mr. Ruiz Lopez may not have remained at the scene.
Actually, Your Honor, I don't believe that it is relevant why he left. What's relevant is whether or not he hit somebody, whether or not he knew he hit somebody, which he did admit to. There is no defense that says why you left is any kind of a defense or in any way goes to the elements that the state's required to prove. So, I mean, I certainly understand that he might be an important witness for a sentencing portion in the case, or for a open plea to the court, but I don't really see where he comes in at trial.
Beyond the expert issue, is there additional discovery or motions to be addressed?
Well, there will be my motion, depending upon what the expert says in his report. And no, nothing else.
I don't anticipate, the only other thing, Your Honor, there is the medical examiner. I haven't deposed her or set her. I only have a limited number of questions for her. I know she's probably very busy at this time, so I didn't schedule that. But that the depositions I have coming up are of the paramedics.
So there are potentially some substantial things that yet need to be sorted out here. I would like to set a trial cycle. I'm thinking either October or November. Is that enough time to address everything that has been discussed?
I heard October. I didn't hear the other part.
November.
November?
Yeah.
Yes, Your Honor. I think that would be enough time.
Ms. Marzano, even factoring in any state motions on the expert, does that give the state enough time to be ready?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe it would. What is the trial cycle in October?
October 11th through the 22nd.
And how many days, depending on the rulings on pretrial motions, but at maximum, what is the state or defense estimating for total number of trial days?
I would say 4 at the most. Could be less than that.
Yeah, I would say at most. I think 3, but that's fine.
I just don't know how jury selection really goes at this point in time with COVID and whatnot.
Well, the last one we had didn't go so badly. We got it done in the one day, as I recall. And yeah, so.
And October is fine if we want to set it for October 11th through the 22nd.
Both sides available? Witness availability?
I have not had the opportunity to check witness availability for them. If there is a problem, I certainly would file an early motion to continue to let Your Honor know.
At this time, it seems that everybody's available, Your Honor, but I would have to verify that as well.
Was the state looking for an earlier trial date?
Well, not really necessarily, Your Honor. Maybe I could do, what is the September trial date?
September 8th through the 17th. That's heavily populated, Your Honor.
Yeah, I don't really think I could do that.
Well, if there's no objection, I think both sides were agreeable to the October to get everything done.
Yes, I'm fine with that.
Veronica?
Yeah, that cover works.
All right, and what are the dates, Ms. Curry?
September 21st pretrial at 10:30, October 5th calendar call at 9 a.m., and October 11th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Very well.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Very well.
Thank you.
Juana Simon Juanel Diego, 20 CF 545, Ms. Gonzalez for the defense, Mr. Maresca for the state. I don't see any sightings of Ms. Gonzalez. I will recall that matter. Next is Jeremiah Vasquez, Ms. Mead for the defense, Mr. Frazier for the state, 17 CF 1325.
Your Honor, Lisa Mead on behalf of Mr. Vasquez. Defense remains ready. However, I do not believe that we have enough time in this trial cycle. We had originally anticipated that Mr. Vasquez's cases, he has 2 because Your Honor has severed the counts in the case, would each take approximately 5 days. And I don't believe we have that in this cycle.
It's been estimated at 4 to 6 days. Is that still the current estimate?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Mr. Frazier?
Probably, Your Honor, if the defense does choose to put on a case. I know that they did prepare a defense. The state did depose some defense witnesses. Probably not to exceed 5 to 6 days, but there's a pretty good chance that it would go beyond 4.
So maximum would be 6 and likely at 5?
Yes, Your Honor. I think the state can complete our case with including jury selection within 4 days would be fair. If the defense then chose to put on a case, then it would certainly go beyond that.
Ms. Curry, how many dates, how many days available currently for this month?
4 days.
Possibly 5 if we carry over into the following Monday, if we don't have any problem with that. That's counting just the Tuesday through Friday, is that right?
Yes.
Now, is the following Monday the Memorial Day holiday?
The 28th. The 31st would be Memorial, so yes.
So then the question becomes whether the administrative judge would allow us to use the following Tuesday to finish the trial if necessary and that's as a 5th, not a 6th day. We currently have 4 days, possibly a 5th. I'm a little concerned about whether this is the appropriate cycle for this case, given the length. I know Mr. Vasquez has been in custody quite some time.
Mr. Vasquez is actually bonded out, Your Honor.
Okay, maybe it's a different case than I thought it was. There may be a different defendant I'm confusing.
He was in custody for a substantial amount of time, but he did bond out, I believe, approximately 30 days ago.
Okay, so we need then to find, Ms. Curry, available dates that would have minimum, I want to have 6 days available for the case. So let's take a look at that.
We could do June, however, it is heavily populated.
Yeah, let's go beyond June, unless there's unfair prejudice to either side from the passage of time.
With Mr. Vasquez out of custody, Your Honor, I can't argue that there is.
Any
next would be September, however, that's also heavily populated with 43.
What is August shaping up like?
There is none in August. Well, August 3rd, there's 25 cases, but there's only 4 days.
Okay, so August is out now. September, did that have at least 6 days?
That has 8 days, but there's 43 cases already set.
This would be one of the priorities. So, Mr. Fraser, any problem with September?
What are the dates for September, Your Honor?
September 8th through the 17th.
8 through 17.
That's not going to interfere with any trip to watch the Cowboys in Dallas you have planned, is it, Mr. Fraser?
Well, depending on how the first couple weeks go, I may not want to watch that.
Okay.
The state does have one witness who would be necessary for one of the charges that is going to be out. So we could, because it's bifurcated, go forward on one of the charges, and we'll have to reset the remaining one for a following trial cycle.
What's the state's preference as to where to put the case?
The state has no problem with the September trial cycle, Your Honor. We do have victims in both cases. We would like to get these resolved as quickly as we can for their sake.
So based on your witness situation, then which charge would be tried in September?
I can address that at the next date, Your Honor. One of the one witness is a fingerprint analyst, and I know that there were prints collected from both of the separate occasions. So I would have to go back and check specifically which one that witness is required for.
Does need any problem with the September date?
No, Your Honor.
And how many days were available then, Ms. Curry?
8 days.
All right, so that would comfortably fit there. That is approved. Dates, please.
August 17th pre-trial at 10:30, August 31st calendar call at 9 a.m., and September 8th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Very well.
And Judge, the state would request that Mr. Vasquez's presence be required at the next pretrial conference date. There is an issue with the current plea offer, and if it's going to be rejected, the state would ask that that be done on the record. So we would like to have him present for that purpose.
In person or remotely, or does it matter?
Remotely is fine, Your Honor, as long as he is present and his response to the state's inquiry at that point is preserved on the record.
Does Mead any objections?
No objection, Your Honor.
So presence of the defendant will be required at the next pretrial conference, and that can be either remotely or in person. And did we announce the dates, Ms. Berry?
I did.
All right, next is Joshua Wilson, Mr. Berry, Mr. Maresca, 19 CF 1710.
Good morning again, Your Honor. We have depositions set for the middle of June. We have a few things to do after that, but we'll be ready. I'm suggesting August, September, October for trial.
State comments.
Your Honor, the state has no objection to going to the September trial docket.
And length of trial anticipated?
4 days.
Not to exceed?
It should not. We should be able to do it in 3 days. Okay. Fourth day is an extra day just in case.
Both sides available then, I think you suggested September, Ms. Mason?
Yes, Your Honor.
That is approved.
That would be August 17th pre-trial at 10:30, August 31st calendar call at 9 a.m. and September 8th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
All right, I'll go back to some of the recalls. I still see some counsel either observing or waiting. Ms. Upson was called earlier on Clayton Diltz, 19 CF 881. Ms. Wilson for the state.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Hello.
Your Honor, I think we have a joint request to set this for the October cycle. Ms. Wilson was recently reassigned this case. There are some issues that remain outstanding for us. I have engaged some experts, but I want to explore the possibility of using those funds in a restitution form rather than defense if there might be a resolution. She's not ready to make an offer yet because she is new to the case. So given what's outstanding and the number of days that we think it will take, we agree that October might be the best time to set it.
And how many days?
Between 4 and 5, Judge. It depends on whether we ultimately list defense experts.
Is that listing capable of being done by August 1st?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson, any schedule requests?
Your Honor, just a month in which we would have maybe a 2-week trial cycle there so that if we do run longer. In addition to that, Your Honor, I have not become completely familiar with the case. However, in looking through it, I noticed that 2 of the witnesses live in Arizona. So it will require us having to bring people in from out of state. And so just based on that, I think if we could go with a week that we know that we have a little bit more time, just to be on the safe side with all the witnesses involved, I think that would be the better option.
Ms. Turi, how many days available in October?
October, there's 7.
And that's sufficient. Dates, please.
September 21st pretrial at 10:30, October 5th calendar call at 9 a.m. and October 11th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Defense to disclose any experts by August 1.
Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Hollander, are you waiting for anything?
Yeah, Judge, I have a pretrial conference this morning at 10:30 on State versus Basties.
I thought that we had called that, yes, we had called it earlier, okay.
I apologize, I must have missed it.
Okay.
20 CF 172.
Your screen was showing that you were not responding at the time.
Oh.
So 20 CF 172, Mr. Ashby for the state, Mr. Hollander for the defense.
Judge, it's a 2-day trial. Whenever you want to set it.
So defense announcing ready?
Yes.
There was one issue previously with one of the FHP officers. Is that a problem?
No, sir.
State comments?
It remains ready for trial, Your Honor.
And 2 to 3 days maximum?
Yes, Your Honor, state would agree.
Has a plea offer been extended?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Your Honor.
Both sides announcing ready and remain as said, is that correct?
That would be the week of the 24th.
Correct. Ms. Turi, what are the dates?
May 18th calendar call at 9 a.m. and May 24th trial cycle at 9 a.m.
Are you going to issue a priority order for the trials, or?
Yeah, I will do the much anticipated ranking of trial cases, much like the Letterman list. And this will, is this requested to be a priority by either side?
Not necessary, Judge. He's not in custody.
Mr. Ashley?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
No, Your Honor.
It will be in the rankings, yes. All right, there was one other case I thought we called with Ms. Gonzalez where she had not appeared. I can't remember which one that was now. Who, anybody else waiting for a case to be called?
Is it Simon Juanel Diego?
Under which last name? There it is. Simon Juanel Diego. 20 CF 545. Juan Gonzalez, not Ms. Gonzalez, listed for the defense, Mr. Maresca for the state. Any appearances?
Laura Mason for the state, Your Honor.
It's currently set on this cycle. Ms. Mason, any contact with the defense?
I've had no contact with the defense, Your Honor. I don't have any information about whether Mr. Maresca's had any contact with him.
At this point, I will keep it as set unless the state objects.
No objection, Your Honor.
Ms. Turi, if you'll note that there was no appearance by the defense, it remains as set. Ms. Turi, would you make a message to my assistant to reach out to the defense to indicate what has occurred and to insist on the appearance of the defense counsel and defendant on the calendar call date?
Yes, Your Honor.
Anything else pending to be addressed?